No, because you're talking about migration, people moving. So basically, come to both your feet like this, because you'll be standing.
Actually, what I
You'll
feel
be
is
on
not
the.
migration,
Hmm.
because there is nothing called migration. What is migration? Every place belongs to everybody.
Right. There's not.
Yes,
My feeling
yes,
is.
yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes.
yeah.
That is more what I'm talking about as well.
Yeah.
But we need to use these words like migration.
Yes,
Otherwise, how can we
Mhm.
communicate at all?
Yeah. It's okay.
Chalo, let me.
You start.
Okay.
We go because you feel
This face has the form of 100,000-year-long journey, shaped by mountains and deserts, shaped by running water. We are all on a long migration. In our own way, we are nomads, struggling to move freely and confidently in a world which will long outlive us. I have lived a nomad's life not by my choice, but because of forces of nature far greater than I am, of which geopolitics and the strange things done by so-called superpowers have been one. I have inherited this earth at a time when the nation state is trying to imitate the great Himalaya range or to mimic the ocean. I don't have time for them and for their narrow thinking, not for their bureaucracy, their threats, or their microcontrols. I want to be among the people of the forests, the people of the mountains and the rolling hills, playing music and discussing the possibilities of life. I want to walk to their homes along the ocean's shore, sleeping in caves and eating dune grass. But these places, the last signs of our ancient birth, are disappearing so fast, just as land has been slashed and cut into pieces. Parts of our history that can connect us are also being cut out. Despite everything we know, the pace and eagerness with which day in and day out the work of development obliterates our past has not slowed down one bit. In fact, it seems to be speeding up, even as the future these forces of cement, paperwork, and bullets promise is becoming ever more unclear and uncertain. You see, in the absence of clarity, the control of external borders has become the ultimate goal, and in fact an obsession of this nation state. It will not stop until the border is accepted as some natural outcome of our existence. Yet, most of the modern systems of immigration control, like passports, only began developing 100 years before I was born. In the last few decades, however, immigration and border control has become ever more rigid and irrational. In the last few years, nations with increasingly totalitarian tendencies have become outright belligerent toward people they call migrants, refugees, illegal. Okay? And in the last few months, emboldened by this coronavirus panic, these nation states have found their golden egg to restrict the movement of people on an unprecedented scale. Why is it that a world without national borders is impossible to imagine today? In fact, the opposite. Our life and identity defined by an irrational collection of hard borders is a long way from fantasy. Until finally we come to face a reality today that the very possibility of autonomous movement in and through our land and the few already failing legal rights and laws that have hitherto protected this birthright are under severe threat. And more than so, our perception of land is completely fabricated. To paraphrase something a friend from Lebanon said to me a few days back, why are we fighting over land which we don't have in the first place? And yes, like many of my friends, I too believe that in the perfect borders the world over should be abolished and land should become free again. But as the author Natasha Kin points out in her book, No Borders, The Politics of Immigration Control and Resistance, to be a no-border activist is also to be a no-state activist, because borders are the physical manifestation of the nation-state. They are what keeps the nation-state intact, and in their absence, by definition, the nation-state also ceases to exist. Does one need to be against the state, to be against the state practice that can, for example, place an outright travel ban on an entire country. Nothing you have done or not done matters, but simply the side of the border you were born on determines if you are free to move within this land or not. And that was happening before coronavirus. This severe discrimination is tacitly accepted until it becomes almost invisible. It becomes a ritual. And what's more, the logic of consumerism has made it absolutely effortless for things, commodities, to straddle between continents and to supply the world's riches to people right at their front door. What an obscure nightmare brewing in city jungles where caged bats can spread the coronavirus to caged pangolins who've been trafficked into China from Namibia for all I know. Everyone suffers for the madness of a plundering and hoarding attitude that money buys. What makes it real for me, however, is that my way, like that of many others, has never fallen within the status quo governments expect of their citizens. As others may find dignity in their home, their community, or their country, I find my dignity in my ability to move through and with this planet. My loyalty lies not within the invented boundaries of some country, but with my family, my friends, with the people I've met or am still to meet, with the wildlife of this world, with its landscape, with the sun and the moon. I say that wherever my feet go is my home, and therefore the people I meet there become my family. As I witness how around me, at this very moment, the world is shutting its doors to what I find normal, I realize that I have a say in my future. Not only mine, but the future of all people who find themselves in transit, on the move, or in between borders. This is why I'm starting this series of audio essays today to explore the magic of migration. In these essays, I hope to show you that migration is an ancient force, far more powerful than the border control organized and invented, reinvented, and ritualized by the modern nation state. Migration is a force of nature that drives the mighty wings of Porijai Paki, birds who in winter fly from Siberia to lakes and ponds of Bengal, or the gnu antelopes, who less than 100 years ago migrated in their millions through the Kalahari Desert before fences put a brutal stop to them. Like us, they still carry the memory of that ancient migration in their hoofs. And today, from Western India through the Middle East and into Northern Africa, locusts sweep through farmlands in swamps that number as many as 10 billion insects each as they devour crops in places where people are already starving. Once upon a time, their gigantic migration was celebrated as a feast. Today, it is a curse. What I mean is that migration is not a choice, but an urge, totally integrated, existing somewhere between these feet and this landscape. But how we respond to this part of our past, present, and future is a choice. And for far too long, someone else has been making it. In our more recent past, there have been ever more people who have had no other choice but to be homeless. And today it is no different, with more and more people being told that they are illegal. Their experience of migration and of homelessness is seen in today's world through a lens that completely dehumanizes them. Yet people of their own free will care for and nurture our land every day, everywhere. And I know that in their welcoming home, the guest's advice is sought and respected, for she brings good tidings from a faraway place. And even the very presence of a traveler can be a sign that things are not falling apart, that we are still together, rooted through movement. I hope you will come to see that for the most part of our deep history, migration has been the most sane and positive way of being, and the values it carries are essential today for reconnecting with and healing our environment. Nomadic experience relies on the reasonable assumption that our lives are transient, and when compared to our tiny lifespan, this earth is immortal. In this sense, we might come to see that migration is an ancient practice, a practice dissimilar to that of the modern state of things. It's like this: when your home is in your bag, you simply can't afford heaviness. And when your home is only your body, everyone you meet is family. Hello, I'm Lavdada. Thank you for watching and listening to this introduction. Every 2 weeks, I will be collaborating with new artists to bring you a new video and a new topic around migration as the world collapses and borders fall apart. Jai Guru.
মদিনায় নবী আছে মায়া মিনার ঘরে হাসিলে হাজার মানি কাঁদিলে মুক্তাজ দয়াল মুর্শিদ যার সখা তার কিসের ভাবনা দয়াল মুর্শিদ যার সহায় তার পারের ভাবনা ছেড়ে দে নৌকা মাঝি যাব মদিনা ও দে দে পাল তুলে দে 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 পাল তুলে দে মাঝি ও দে দে পাল তুলে দে মাঝি হেলা করিস না ছেড়ে দে নৌকা মাঝি যাব মদিনা খুলে দে নৌকা মাঝি যাব মদিনা পীরের রোশনীতে মদিনা গেছে ভরে